and welcome to Capital Ideas Live, the video version of the magazine about business in Moscow. I'm John Harris.
The appearance of a conflict. How to get some use out of the sanctions. There's a Russian farmer collecting money to put up a monument to the politician who came up with the idea of sanctions. Accessories for accessories. The straps for the most expensive watches are made in Moscow. I couldn't do that in Europe. In Russia, it's still possible. Watch it now. Capital Ideas Live.
Moscow's always been at the crossroads of various trade routes. Over the past few hundred years, the city has become a hub of commerce and industry. Now that has not changed throughout Moscow's history, although the form, the way that Moscow has manifested those functions has of course changed. But what's it like doing business in Moscow now? That's the subject of our next report.
Moscow attracts entrepreneurs from all over the world. People for whom borders aren't barriers and cultural differences are an advantage. Thus, here, 5 kilometers from the Kremlin, a very Italian business is booming, a pasta factory. In 2012, the third largest pasta producer in the world, Secco, bought the Moscow factory Extra M. Despite enormous competition presented by Russians at Secco, they saw good prospects. Russia, the USA and Italy are the 3 countries that eat the largest volumes of pasta in the world. Here are a few figures. In Italy, a single person consumes an average of about 24.5 kilograms of pasta a year. In Russia, about 8 to 9 kilograms, and in America, 3 to 4 kilograms. Pasta producers haven't noticed the sanctions because all the pasta is made out of local flour. In Moscow, farfalle and fusilli long ago became local staples. The leap in the exchange rates for foreign currencies really helped local producers. They started producing more and selling more on the domestic market. After the devaluation, we became competitive here in Russia. The goods route to the consumer today can sometimes be more complex than the production process itself. Every year, Muscovites are spending more and more money through hypermarkets. The competition in this field is fierce too. At present, the company Auchan is in the lead. The sales technology is French. The goods and consumers, however, are Muscovite. That's because Moscow's main resource is its inhabitants, educated, ready to work, capable of spending and earning. That works for any retail sector, whether it be foodstuffs, technology, or goods for the home. The company has a principle that distinguishes it from other companies on the market. The individual is the heart of the business. For 13 years now, Muscovites have been buying everything they need for the home at Leroy Merlin. The crisis hit the ruble, but the chain's takings have only grown, and last year they amounted to 3 billion euros. As soon as the buying capacity falls, we adapt the range of goods that we offer. So yes, our average prices have fallen, but at the same time the number of clients we have is continually growing. In Moscow, there's room for all kinds of business. The city government is incentivizing mutual integration, which means that everyone wins. Sociological research confirms that the basic values for Russians and Europeans, the prosperity of the family, a comfortable home, a delicious supper, these shared values are a good basis for a common cause.
It's actually really difficult in this globalized world we live in to establish exactly where the borders lie between international and local trade. But somehow we still need to get together, get on with each other, and hopefully mutually prosper. Of course, the environment in which we are operating is incredibly important, and sometimes there can be real problems, such as the sanctions in Russia. Now, this is something we talk about with Mr. Vladimir Platonov, the president of the Moscow Chamber of Commerce and Industry. How have the sanctions affected the economy of the country and of Moscow?
How have sanctions influenced the economy of the country and the economy of the city? You know, I always joke that there's a Russian farmer collecting money to put up a monument to the politician who came up with the idea of sanctions. We've helped Russian farmers to enter the Moscow market. Thanks to the sanctions, we learned that we're not a country where farming is a risky venture. We can feed ourselves and Europe with grain, and we can produce other important foodstuffs.
Many of the people watching our program are foreign investors. Are there some kind of privileges for them?
We can't provide any benefits or privileges for foreign companies alone. But it really is worthwhile engaging in entrepreneurial activities in Russia. In the summer, we adopted a package of laws that encouraged the development of industrial activities. The minimum is a 5% concession. There's 5% less tax due from companies that have transparent wage policies. They don't pay people in cash in envelopes. And they have to observe ecological requirements. That's 5% immediately. The others can meet other requirements, and that figure can get as high as 15%. That's very advantageous.
Where are the inward investments to Moscow coming from? From which countries? From which organizations?
I don't have those statistics. I'm not really interested in that. I can only say that it's coming from where the people are wise. We recently received a delegation from the USA. They came to see a country with an economy broken by the previous US president, and they didn't see that.
And both small and large businesses, wherever they are, all have one thing in common. They all have to exist, they all have to operate. Our next report is about a company that's been operating successfully here in Russia, in Moscow in fact, and it has very serious plans for the future.
It might seem that success on the Moscow market is guaranteed for inexpensive mass consumption goods. But in Moscow, you can always find a new niche, even in a risky business like luxury goods.
Добрый день, меня зовут Hervé Marcel Robert.
Master Hervé Marcel Robert, in his hometown of Paris, worked with firms such as Piaget and Cartier, but it was in Moscow that he decided to open his own business. Hervé discovered that in Moscow you can find any luxury good you might want on sale, but if your crocodile skin belt wears through, you'll have to order a new one in Europe. And he realized that this was his chance. In Moscow, you can start up even if you have limited resources. If you have craftsmanship, you can find the customer. In Europe, I couldn't do what I'm doing here. Here, it's possible. Now the Moscow atelier Marcel Robert creates unique leather goods. As well as straps for watches, he makes cases for the latest smartphone models. He has a monthly turnover of 350,000 euros, and that's only the beginning. Sami Katvani is a real expert in how to do business in Russia in the exclusive sector. 27 years ago, this former London student decided to become a Moscow tailor.
I think this is one of the best places where you can make money.
This small atelier over the years has turned into an empire. In the era of mass marketing, the Imperial Tailor has managed to become the largest individual tailoring firm in Eastern Europe. The most affordable suit here can be tailored for you for $1,500. There's no upper limit. The main thing is to live and work honestly.
Once you respect the law, or you understand the law, so it's very easy to make money in this country.
Sami Katvani is no longer a foreigner in Moscow. He preserves the habits and culture of his native India, but is proud of having become a Russian citizen. That's his answer to the question of what he thinks the future of the Russian economy is.
And you might have noticed in all these programs that I've been wearing a pretty cool suit. And this suit was actually made by Mr. Sami Katvani, the president of the Imperial Tailor company, in his showrooms here in the middle of Moscow in Gostinny Dvor. Pretty nice. The elite section of any market is always the most dangerous for the people, for the investors, for the business people who run it, because the first thing that goes pear-shaped in any economic crisis is the elite section. At least that's what logic tells you. What's it like being a businessman in the section in Moscow? We talked to Sami Katwani about this exact issue.
Let me tell you, there is always a VIP client.
Yeah.
There's a high client, there's a medium client,
Yeah.
there's a low client.
Yeah.
So in the crisis, our medium and low clients always vanishes. So we lose good 60% of the business in every crisis because your medium and low clients have gone. So you're left with the high and VIPs. You know, the people who are used to buy very expensive things, they cannot afford. Where they will come? They'll come to us.
How do you relate to the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia from the United States of America and from Western Europe?
See, I think sanctions are a joke. These sanctions are more to tell the rest of the world that Russia is not a right place to come. So Americans and Europeans want to make them fear that this is not a right place to come. But I think they are the biggest investor. So they don't want other people to come. That's why they are talking about the sanctions.
But in the meantime, we have a situation, we have a situation, as they say. We have a lot of people who have lost a lot of money. They invested in this country, and for one reason or another, they've lost quite a lot of money. Now, how do you see it? Do you think they should come back in again? Now's the time to invest?
See, I'm sorry to say, whenever you do business, you don't do business for a 1 year or 2 year. You have to see the business on a long term.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, the market has crashed, the ruble has devalued, so your property prices have gone down, your investments have come 50%. But you have to sit tight, right? You need to sit tight, and this is going to pay back. This is the time to come back to this country. All the people who have lost, they were not in the ship, or they lost this train, they missed the bus, this is the right time to come in this country and work now.
Tell us why it's the right time.
The first is you're getting a 50% discount straight away. The ruble devaluation, your money gives you more out of it. So with a 50% devaluation, this is the right time to come inside. Even if you're putting a factory, it will take you a couple of years to set up the factory. In that time, you will get all the licenses you need. So this is the right time to come and do business.
Finally, I know that you're also, apart from running this incredible business, you are also the president of the Indian Business Alliance. Now, can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Indian Business Alliance is proud to say that we work with the Business Council for Cooperation with India, that is Dalawai Soviet Saturnitsa Indi. It's Mr. Sergei Churomin, who is the president over there. And he's been working, we've been working together for last 9 years. We are able to make not only good relationship with the Moscow city government, but today we are with a very good relationship with most of the regions of this country. So there is no issue that cannot be sorted out by talking to each other.
The best doctors in the world are in Moscow.
Проходите, присаживайтесь.
Why do people come here to the Russian capital for treatment? Next time on Capital Ideas Live.
So that's it for the day. Thank you very much for watching our program. I hope you've enjoyed it. Come back again next week. I'm John Harrison.